party today. I hope everyone's having some fun. A lot of work was put into this event, and again, I'd like to recognize everyone who did their part. And I don't know everyone who took part, but it was a lot of work. You know, a lawyer, an actuary, and an accountant they all got sentenced to the death penalty. They must have done something really bad. So they're all about to walk into the death chamber where the electric chair is. So the attorney goes first, and they flip the switch, and nothing happens. So the warden says, well, you got lucky. Get on, get out of here, you're free. Well, the actuary goes up next, and he figures, what's the chance of that happening again? They flip the switch, and nothing happens. And he says, wow, this has never happened before. 2 in a row. You're free to go as well. And now the accountant, who's good with numbers, knows there's no way this is going to happen 3 times in a row. So they look at him and say, okay, you're up. And he starts heading to the chair, and he says, well, I just wanted to point out that it's unplugged. It looks like the camera booth is pretty popular. You guys like the camera booth? I think some of you have been up there this whole time. I'm surprised that several of you are not there now. So we would like to have that next year. As all of you know or should know by now, Congress has passed new tax law. So I thought I'd take about the next 45 minutes to explain about the new law. I thought this is what I was up here to do. Did everyone like the food truck we had a few months ago? Yeah. Smoking pot, you know, it actually took me a while to figure that out. And it was parked in front of a medical marijuana dispensary. You know, next year we're going to have them come at 9 a.m., so maybe the food will be ready by 12. Where's Stephen Ozen? Can Stephen Ozen stand up? There's Stephen Ozen. You know, Stephen used to be the CFO at a restaurant, actually a real popular restaurant in town. So we decided next year he's going to get behind the counter and hook up some smoking pot. Did everyone take a look at the prizes? Yeah? They look okay? You know, all there are Lakers and Clippers playoff tickets. I want to do things a little differently this year than I've done in the past. It took a lot of work, like I say, from a lot of people to put this presentation together. When you see it, if you like it a lot, please clap very loudly. If you like it just a little bit, please still clap loudly. It took a lot of cajoling and effort on my part to get a lot of these people to participate, so I really want them to make sure they hear your applause. So the biggest news story of the year, no doubt, is Star Wars comes out today, right? The Last Jedi. How many of you saw it last night? Nobody saw it. A couple hands went up. Okay. So a couple people saw it. So I just thought I'd go over the chronology of the movies. It's a little bit confusing. They started with episode 4 in 1977. They retitled it A New Hope. It's still Star Wars. It started out as Star Wars, but then they retitled it. It was 1977. In 1980 was The Empire Strikes Back. It was episode 5. In 1983 was The Return of the Jedi. It's episode 6. The original title George Lucas wanted to use was Revenge of the Jedi. But then they pointed out that Jedis don't take revenge. So that became The Return of the Jedi. And this was the original trilogy that myself and a lot of you grew up watching. And you know, the first one, A New Hope, is what started the summer blockbuster. That's what created it, was the first one. And then we go on to episode 1, which is The Phantom Menace in 1999. This is what they call the prequel trilogy. It came before. And it took 16 years from 1983 to 1999 for this to come out. Darth Maul, right there in the middle of the picture, the actor was Ray Park. And I just read recently that he was actually a stuntman. He was trying out to be a stuntman on the film, and the director and the producer thought he did such a great job that he became Darth Maul. This movie ends with a really epic lightsaber battle. It's about the only highlight of the movie. The pod racing was pretty cool, but that's about it. We go now to Attack of the Clones in 2002. This is episode 2. And there's Hayden Christensen right in the middle, and he's Anakin Skywalker. There's Obi-Wan Kenobi and Queen Amidala and Yoda. And in this movie, well, you know, everyone knows that Anakin Skywalker becomes Darth Vader. So in this movie,
why would you do that?
Did I spoil that for you? Okay. And I'll ruin it for the rest of you. Senator Palpatine becomes the Emperor. So what do you call Darth Vader after his mom died? Little Orphan Annie. And the older people should have got that one. They called him Annie throughout the movie. It was kind of ridiculous. In episode 1, especially, when he was like a 10-year-old little kid. Okay, then we move on to episode 3, which is Revenge of the Sith. So George Lucas finally got his revenge in there. But, you know, Sith take revenge. And this is where Anakin Skywalker completes his journey to the dark side and becomes this mechanical Darth Vader. Now, I watched all these movies in the theaters many times, and I know many of you did. And maybe about 6 or 8 years ago, when, I'll just say, YouTube kind of came into its own, a lot of people would go on and criticize these movies. And I used to think, what are they talking about? They must not be real fans. I thought these movies were really good. And then my younger son starts making fun of me and saying, Dad, they really weren't that great movies. And he would recite some of these lines that I realized kind of didn't sound so good. But then we had some hope, so we go to the next movie, which was The Clone Wars in 2008. And this became a series, an animated series on in the Cartoon Network. So this was kind of like the kickoff for that. And that was 2008. So now we move to 2015, 2 years ago, was The Force Awakens. So this is episode 7. So now we're back in order, so to speak. This is after episode 6, when the second Death Star was destroyed. You know, Disney acquired Lucasfilm from George Lucas, and then they committed to making more movies. They spent, I believe, $4 billion to purchase the rights. And, you know, I enjoyed this movie, and I started to wonder recently, where was The Force Awakening? Who was it awakening in? It sounds like Rey, right? Because she comes out with her lightsaber, there she is in the picture. But just recently, you know, it was suggested maybe it's Finn, right? Because he also uses a lightsaber, and he's, you know, defected from being a stormtrooper. And then I started thinking, what about Princess Leia, or she's General Leia now or something? And because, you know, she's the son of Darth Vader as well, and she's Luke's brother. So maybe the Force was awakening in her, and she was going to actually go into training or something. But we don't know. That was 2 years ago, and we don't know until today when the new movie comes out. Then we move to the next film, which is Rogue One. Rogue One was in 2016. And they're calling this an anthology movie. And it was not meant to go in order. It's not episode 8 or anything like that. It's actually set just before episode 4. And it fills this plot hole of why the original Death Star had a 3-meter wide opening that led right to the main reactor that allowed Luke to destroy the Death Star. And I thought that was probably the best part of it, is they filled that plot hole. But what they didn't fill is in the second Death Star in episode 6, that they made the exhaust ports big enough to fly whole ships through. And the Millennium Falcon flies in there with all these TIE fighters and X-Wings, and they destroy the second Death Star. So maybe we're going to have an anthology movie that explains that. And then we come up to today, The Last Jedi, 2017. Now we're back in order, we're at episode 8. So hopefully we're going to find out maybe who the Force is awakening in. Maybe we'll find out who Rey's father is, or parents, because they don't explain that. And, you know, it's a whole new movie to find out. So I mentioned YouTube, and obviously everyone watches YouTube. There's a lot of fan films, and there's a lot of comedy on YouTube about Star Wars. So if you're a fan, what I recommend is Robot Chicken by Seth Green. A lot of funny videos on Robot Chicken. And then there's one called How It Should Have Ended, and also Honest Trailers. So if you want to see some comedy for free about Star Wars, you can watch those.
Is that what you've been doing in taxis?
So we go to the next slide. So up in the left corner we have Mace Windu, and then we have Han Solo, classic. We've got the guy on the bottom left, and then we have Rey. So bonus question, who can tell me the name of the X-Wing pilot on the bottom left? Someone say Pig? Dix? His name is Porkins. David Cable got it right. And you can kind of tell he's a bit overweight. That's George Lucas at his finest, picking the fattest pilot and calling him Porkins. And he made a reappearance in Rogue One, and they took some old footage. So next slide. I thought now I'd just go ahead and reveal the plot of The Last Jedi, since I think most of you won't see it. Jar Jar Binks returns. Next slide. It's really just a remake of The Empire Strikes Back, just like Episode 7 was more or less a remake of the original Star Wars: A New Hope. And then they reveal who Rey's father is. That's a little different. Okay, I haven't seen it. I'm not revealing anything. Okay. So, earlier this year, I was talking to June Wang, and June says, I really don't know anything about Star Wars. Because every year I sit here and watch you talk about Star Wars, I can't relate to it at all. And she was kind of complaining a little bit, and I thought, okay, what are we going to do about that? And then she told me actually she watched Rogue One at Thanksgiving, and she actually liked it. So she's seen one of them. So I was thinking, well, if you don't like what I'm going to talk about, maybe you should get up here and tell a joke. So she actually agreed to come up and tell a joke. And then Jenny Lynn said, wait a minute, I got to get in on this. If June's going to get up and tell a joke, I want to get up and tell a joke. So can we have Jenny and June please come up? No idea what they're going to say, and I hope no one gets in trouble for this. Go to the next one.
Hey June, today Gwen pointed me with a ruler. So? He said there's an idiot at the end of this ruler.
Oh my goodness, he called you idiot.
No, I got kicked out of his office because I asked which end.
Good job, Gary.
So after she said that maybe, she said something like, maybe you should talk about something that more people have seen. And so what are you talking about? Star Wars is one of the most viewed movies of all time. But she said, maybe you should pick something else. And then a couple people chimed in and said, maybe you should talk about the TV show Friends. I thought, okay. So Friends is actually a show I never watched. And it was on for 10 years, over 200 episodes. And I thought, okay, do something about Friends, see what we can do. And so they suggested to me, if you're going to get up here and talk about it, maybe you should watch an episode so you kind of know what's going on. So I got Netflix out, and it's on there. And I looked up on the internet the top 10 best episodes of Friends. And I don't remember the titles. But I tell you, tried to watch 2 of them. I got about 15, 20 minutes in, and I wasn't laughing. And I turned them off. But the point being, now I know why I never watched it. I probably tried it at the beginning and didn't like it. But that doesn't stop me from talking about it today. So I thought, how can we incorporate this into MKA? So I thought we would do, from the tax department, lookalikes and similar personalities. So, I had to get a description of each main character because I really didn't know who they were or what they did. So what I'm going to read about their personalities, I took it off the internet, so this is not my fault, right? If it comes across as insulting or something, I'm just doing what my staff asked. This was not my idea. So first we're going to have Rachel Green, and Rachel Green is portrayed by Jennifer Aniston. And she says, who's FICA? Why is he getting all of my money, right? That's a real good tax question. So anyone in the audience know who in the tax department closely resembles Rachel Green? Nobody? And the winner is? She wanted me to make sure I say that she really does understand what FICA is. Then we move on to Joey Tribani, right? Portrayed by Matthew Blanc. And what's his favorite line? How you doing? Something to that effect. I'm sure I can't do it justice. He's a good-natured, struggling actor and food lover. So who in the tax department resembles Joey Tribani?
Definitely not Michael.
Oh, so I got one vote for Scott. And the winner is?
It actually looks similar. Yeah, it looks
So now we move on to Dr. Ross Geller. And he's portrayed by David Schwimmer, and he says, dude, are you okay? Totally. He's the smartest of the group. He's a paleontologist in a museum, and later a professor, but at the same time, a clumsy, quirky man. So any votes in the tax department? And the winner is?
Smartest guy.
So now we move on to Monica Geller, portrayed by Courtney Cox. And remember, if I'm harsh with you, it's only because you're doing it wrong. Okay? Monica is the mother hen of the group, who is known for her obsessive, compulsive, and competitive nature. Monica is an intelligent, kind-hearted person who works primarily as a chef at a variety of restaurants. So who closely resembles Monica Geller?
Galina! Scott!
Well, Scott's the wrong sex for this one. And the winner is? Now, can you imagine Galina saying, why do I have to tell you everything twice? Next up, we have Chandler Bing. And it's a little hard to read. It says, I mean, sure, I have my bad days, but then I remember what a cute smile I have. Now, this kind of fits in with accounting. He's an executive in a statistical analysis and data reconfiguration for a large multinational corporation, and then later becomes a junior copywriter at an advertising agency. Chandler is known for a sarcastic sense of humor. So any guesses on Chandler?
I only know Scott.
It's not Scott. Any other guesses?
Manny, Kaplan. Michael.
Me?
Michael.
And the winner is?
MGK.
And now we move on to our last character, Phoebe Buffet. Portrayed by Lisa Kudrow. Now this description, I'm going to say, I've come up with it. She is an odd, ditzy, albeit sweet-natured masseuse who grows up homeless. She's an aspiring musician who plays the guitar and sings songs with somewhat unusual lyrics at a coffee shop. Okay, it's not Scott. Okay. Who? Rashui, I got one vote for Rashui. Anybody else? Rashui's not blonde though. And the winner is? So if we go on to the next slide. Now I just noticed something. Go back. Yes. Up in the top left corner is a picture of Elliot Gould. Was he on the show? So Elliot Gould was Jack Geller. He's Ross and Monica's dad. Go ahead to the next slide. He frequently makes inappropriate comments when he punctuates by exclaiming, "I'm just saying." And, "Son, I had to shave my ears for tonight." Yeah, that's actually something I have to do sometimes. But most men in the audience do. So, who best resembles the dad? It's kind of an easy one. The winner is? So something a dad would do, I'm a dad, you all know that. I told this story a couple days ago and I got a laugh, so I figured I'll give it a shot here. After seeing a picture about someone shaving their ears. So I was saying how I hate clothes shopping. There's only a few stores I can go to because of my size. And a lot of times I go there and there's very few selections. And so I get to the store, and I hate to go, so I go about every 1 or 2 years. So I get to the store and I try on some slacks, and it actually fit. And I said, okay, I would like to buy more than one. And they said, well, we don't have any more, this is it. I said, okay, can we order from some other stores and have them shipped here? And they're like, okay. And they said, how many do you want? I said, I want 8 of them. That's the joke. Who buys 8 pairs of identical pants except the dad, right? Dad doesn't like to do clothes shopping. Okay, scratch that for next year. So I want to try something new this year. I want to try a little game. How do you know it MKA? And we're going to do the all partner edition. What do you mean? I can't say, how do you know it's a Saturday at MKA? Rebecca? I can't say, how do you know it's a Saturday at MKA and all the partners' doors are closed? I can't say that, Doug? Oh, man, okay. I guess they're all on the phone with clients. All right. Okay, so I'm not doing how do you know an MKA all partner edition. Okay. I'll just skip those slides. So now, and then someone else said, you know, there's other popular TV shows besides Friends, and maybe you should talk about some other things. And I said, okay, like what? And then, kind of at the same time, around the same time we were talking about this, I heard this really concerning story about one of the managers that works here, and he's actually in the room today. And they were kind of telling me in confidence, like, what do we do about this guy? He's kind of causing a lot of trouble. And I thought, oh man, it's going to be something I'm going to have to report to HR or something. And then, like out of the blue, someone submitted this video. So let's take a look and see what happens.
Huh?
Oh no, here's the trouble. Is he the troublemaker? David, did you do something wrong here? I've never seen this before. Let's give Matt and David a big hand. Apparently it wasn't that bad. So, if you work in the tax department, and you know I like to recite quotes, favorite quotes that I like. So we'll start with the first one here. Nothing is particularly hard if you divide it into small jobs. And that applies to what we do. One whole audit or one whole tax return may be overwhelming, but in small pieces you can do anything. If you spend too much time thinking about a thing, you'll never get it done. Bruce Lee said that. And it's the same thing. If you plan too much, you never start the job. It's never going to get done. Fortune knocks but once, but misfortune has much more patience. Lose money for the firm and I'll be understanding. Lose a shred of reputation for the firm and I'll be ruthless. Could you imagine Manny Kaplan saying that? There is no disgrace in honest failure. There is disgrace in fearing to fail. Talent is a dreadfully cheap commodity, cheaper than table salt. What separates the talented individual from the successful one is a lot of hard work and study. And that's true. I've seen a lot of people that, through a lot of hard work, propel themselves up, and then you get smarter and talented along the way. As you know, you have to go to war with the army you have, not the army you want. When you hire people that are smarter than you prove you're smarter than they are. If you can't explain it simply, you don't understand it well enough. That applies to talking to clients. The best teacher is the one who suggests rather than dogmatizes, and inspires his listener with the wish to teach him himself. I like that one a lot. Any fool can criticize, condemn, and complain, and most fools do. That's about finding the solution of the problem. My happiness grows in direct proportion to my acceptance and inverse proportion to my expectations. Basically, if you set your expectations low, it's easier to accept things. I would have written you a shorter letter, but I don't have the time. It's one of my favorites because I sit there on the computer trying to explain in writing some difficult concept, and it turns out like 5 pages. And then someone says, well, why don't you simplify it? It's too complicated. I said, it's going to take twice as long to simplify it. It's hard enough to understand it to begin with. So I want to try another game. And oh wow, it's the same game. How do you know at MKA? But it's not the all-partner edition. Apparently I can make fun of the staff and not the partners. How do you know it's 8 a.m. on Friday at MKA? This is audience participation? Bagels, okay, let's see. Let's give Richard a big hand of applause. Okay, now how do you know it is 12 p.m. daily at MKA? Any guesses? Lunchtime? Yeah, lunchtime. Let's see what happens at 12:15. And this is a true story, actually. What's she